Good evening. In this presentation, I will briefly be mentioning plagiarism, what it is, why it matters, and how to avoid it. My presentation will include the definition of plagiarism, etymology of plagiarism, consequences of it, some terms related to plagiarism, and the types of it, and why it matters, strategies to avoid plagiarism, and finally, my references. Let us start with the definition of plagiarism. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, plagiarism is the act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person. And the American Psychological Association defines plagiarism as the act of presenting someone else's work, ideas, or words as one's own. The Oxford English Dictionary defines plagiarism as a practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. And the United States Copyright Office describes plagiarism as the act of using someone else's original words or ideas as though they were your own. In 1999, Committee on Publication Ethics established a definition of plagiarism, which encompasses various forms of inappropriate usage of other people's published and unpublished ideas, including research grant applications and submission of a complex paper under a new authorship, even in different language. Plagiarism can occur at any stage of the process, such as planning, research, writing, or publication, and it applies to both printed and electronic versions of work. The etymology: the term plagiarism is derived from the Latin word plagiaris, which connotes various negative connotations such as kidnapper, seducer, and plunderer. 8 AD, when the Roman poet Martial discovered that his works were being recited by another poet, Fidentius, who took credit for them, and copyright laws did not exist at that time. Martial composed a series of poems that expressed his feelings toward Fidentius, including calling him a plagiarist or kidnapper through the verses. The term plagiarism originated from the Latin word plagiaris. It has been used in literature since ancient times to refer to the fact of stealing another's work without permission. Scholars and university students need to know some certain definitions of terms related to plagiarism. First, bibliography. That means the list of books and articles, etc., at the end of a research paper, often titled references or works cited. Citation: all the information needed to find the source of information, such as a title, author, publisher, and publication date. Copyright: it means the legal rights of the authors of intellectual property to control how their property is sold, published, and distributed. Intellectual property: creative work completed by a person, such as writing, drawing, photography, and music. Paraphrase means putting another person's ideas into your own words. And verbatim is an exact quote of block of words with no changes. Here are some possible consequences of plagiarism. Failing cite references properly can have severe consequences, such as the loss of one's academic or professional reputation, legal consequences, expulsion from school, termination from a job, loss of funding, decreased public support for research, and a devaluation of academic degrees and credentials. Most cases of plagiarism are considered misdemeanors, punishable by fines of anywhere between $150,000 and up to 1 year in jail. Plagiarism can also be considered a felony under certain state and federal laws. For example, if a plagiarist copies and earns more than $1,500 from copyrighted material, he or she may face up to $250,000 in fines and up to 10 years in jail. Here is a mind map I created about the types of plagiarism. First, it is called a secondary source plagiarism, which means failure to attribute the work of a secondary source. The next one is invalid source attribution, means referencing incorrect or non-existent resources. And next one is duplication, means reusing previous work without proper attribution. Another is paraphrasing, using uncited outside sources and presenting ideas as original. Next one is repetitive research plagiarism. That means repeating data or text without proper attribution. The next one is replication, meaning submitting the same manuscript to multiple publications. The next one is misleading attribution, which means inaccurate or insufficient list of authors contributing to a manuscript. The next one is unethical collaboration, which means using collaborative work without proper citation. And the next one is verbatim plagiarism, meaning copying another's words without proper attribution. And finally, complete plagiarism, which means submitting another's work as one's own. Here are some real examples of plagiarism. The first case is Kavya Visvanathan. In 2006, Kavya Visvanathan published a young adult book. It was later discovered that Visvanathan plagiarized heavily from books by Megan McCafferty, among others. Visvanathan claims that the plagiarism was unintentional. However, her book was recalled from stores and taken out of print, and Miss Van Houten lost her contract for a second book. Jenna Lehr. Jenna Lehr recently resigned as a writer for The New Yorker after he was caught self-plagiarizing on a number of occasions and fabricating quotes for a book. Doris Kearns Goodwin. Doris Kearns Goodwin is a historian who won a Pulitzer Prize in 1995. It was later discovered that Goodwin plagiarized in her 1987 book, The Fitcaras and the Kennedys. Once her plagiarism was discovered, Goodwin had to leave her position as a guest pundit on the PBS NewsHour program and resigned for the Pulitzer board. In 2015, in India, former Delhi University Vice Chancellor uh, Deepak Pantal was put in jail over allegations that he plagiarized a colleague's research. That same year, a Polish professor faced up 3 years in prison for plagiarizing in a book under the nation's copyright law. However, this is an area of rapid development as the UK, as well as other countries, are looking to criminalize contract cheating. This could see students who engage in contract cheating facing criminal punishments, including a permanent record on their misdeeds. For right now, though, plagiarism rarely becomes a criminal or civil matter, especially when it's in the classroom. However, it can and does happen, as if one needed another reason to avoid plagiarism, the potential legal consequences should provide an additional motivation. Why plagiarism matters? Firstly, it's a crime with legal penalties. It's a way of stealing unethical. It's not only cheating out of the opportunity to learn and develop someone's own ideas, but also devaluing the efforts of those who have worked hard to produce original work. It threatens the very foundations of the academic enterprise by eroding the standards of excellence and honesty upon which it is built. And how to avoid plagiarism? First, understand the definition of plagiarism. Recognize various forms of plagiarism, such as direct plagiarism and self plagiarism. Use proper citation and referencing. Use the citation style required by your institution, such as APA, MLA, or Chicago, and make sure to cite every source used in your work. 3. Paraphrase and summarize correctly. Make sure to credit the original source. 4. Use plagiarism detection software. Software such as Turnitin and Grammarly can help you identify unintentional plagiarism. 5. Develop good research skills. Stick to reliable sources such as academic journals and books, and avoid unreliable sources such as personal blogs or Wikipedia. Many people say that it's the intellect which makes a great scientist. They are wrong, as the character, quoted by Albert Einstein. And these are my references that I used to prepare this presentation. And thank you for joining. You can contact me through my email address, my Instagram address, and you can also follow my WordPress and LinkedIn profile. Thank you for listening.